Hello, we're back.
Hi,
The brand new, old new, second new, renewed new strategy sessions with me, Paul Chapman, and him.
Tim
I,
Elliott.
I hope
Tim
you are
Elliott.
that side. Otherwise, that just
Yeah,
looks weird.
I am on my screen. I
Well,
don't
that's
know why
in
am
that
I
case,
yours.
it's fine. We can just
Okay,
edit this
good.
bit out and just go back to a seamless and entirely
Seamless.
nonsensical
Have we ever been
thing.
seamless?
No,
That's
we
the
have
question.
not. No,
It's the topic of today's talk.
yeah, yeah. Does any of it make any sense? Yeah, we're back, or I don't know, whenever we're forward. We spoke last time a bit about kind of what's changed and what hasn't, and kind of as that moved on, one of the big things that we were going to talk about is the comms and kind of, I suppose, the practicalities or whatever of kind of what to say, how to say it, and what to do. Because I think, as ever with these kind of things, most people do it without thinking. And I think, where are we now? We are sort of middle of June. I think hopefully everybody is preparing for an email to drop into their inbox that says, "Hey, we're back. Please buy our stuff." And I think one of the big things that we'll all need to look at is exactly that. What is it we're going to say? How are we going to say it? And how is that going to kind of cut through what I think inevitably is going to be quite a busy and a noisy few months?
Yeah, I think, like I say, we've been one of those people, because I know it's not been the same for everybody, that's had the fortune of being able to have more time for observation than normal.
Yeah.
Like in between client work, but definitely more observation time. But even if it's just the time I spent on the M1, is now spent observing.
Yeah.
That is a good portion of time. And there was a bunch of stuff in the first few weeks. Everybody pivoted and changed and altered direction with like every day, I think, for March, if I'm honest. And then there was the deluge of in uncertain times, in unusual
Yes.
times, in all of the
Unprecedented.
unprecedented times. Jesus,
Yeah.
all that language of going, hey, we're still here for you, even though we're in unprecedented times, and all that communication with you. But over the last 2 months, right, over April and May, I'm going to write March off because nobody knew what the bloody hell was happening.
Yeah.
So you were all excused for March.
Hope you enjoyed it.
But April and May, I think stuff started to bed in. There was a sense of, oh, it's like this, fine, and getting on with it, getting on with stuff, right? But the lost art of communication really came to the fore because we all had to learn how to do it again and in different formats and with less ease than there was before, just because we're not in an office of 40 people. We can't assume that everybody's doing 9 to 5 because of furlough, because of redundancy, because they've got 14 and a half boys to look after like chappers. There's other stuff. Life happened, didn't it? Life happened in between it. So the communication we did have had to be good. It had to get the job done, right? And I think recently we've the people I've connected with have learned to communicate a lot better than we were doing it before. I think we've had to relearn that skill and go, okay, we've only got this time frame or this opportunity to get this idea across, to tell this story, to get this message across, to work out this thing and how to do it. Like, I think people have become better at communicating in a way that, apart from, the all the toilet roll hoarders that are still doing unprecedented times emails.
The images of these people, even now, have still got 35,000 toilet rolls left.
It's their laptop stand. It's just toilet roll. They're typing unprecedented time emails.
Occasionally, they're like that.
People are eating it, stir frying it. Anyway, we're not talking.
Because I think a lot of it, because of the rawness of it, or because of the kind of thing, it almost feels like it's been dragged back, and actually a lot of the stuff that has gone hand in hand with marketing just hasn't been there. The kind of it feels a bit like those that have got it right have gone back to a person saying, hi, this is me, I do this, I'm getting in touch with you because I do it for people like you. But, and I think, a lot of the noise, a lot of the stuff has sort of gone. And actually, I wonder if, those that are doing it best are just going back to kind of, first principles of, well, I'm a person, let me speak to another person and see what goes on with it.
Yeah, I think there's about to be another deluge. So as we record this may have already happened by the time we've seen it. There's a bunch of release of lockdown features happening, right? Which may or may not go super well. Again, we don't know. But it looks like people are trying to reset, hit the factory reset button, pretend it never happened, and they'll go, which will make people go, oh, I should talk about this thing. I should communicate now. Do you know what I mean? I should communicate with all the people I've ignored for 3 months, or I've continually bombarded for 3 months, or I've just been nice and built relationships with for 3 months, because they're all suitable, right? But there's some core principles of good communication, right? That whatever message you decide to put out, please don't do the even though you say the we're back, the whatever the new version of unprecedented times will be, try and stay away from it. Just because 99% of other people will be using it, right? Like, personality is good, because human to human connection is good in communication. Even if you're emailing, if you're putting social stuff out, if you're doing videos and vlogs, right? Be yourself, because people will have more affinity with another human who's done a thing.
Yeah, and I think so. And I think, I think for a lot of people, it's too late. And I've got to be careful about saying that, because when we recorded the last one of these a handful of minutes ago, I said it's never too late. And it is never too late to start again. But I think that's, the key. The really smart people are the people that have kept in touch with their clientele, even if they've had nothing to say. And they, because they've said, well, look, we don't know when we're going to open. We don't know. But there have been really good, smart communications. At the top of my head, I think there's a really, really brilliant hair salon in Notts that I can't wait to go back to. I don't know if you've seen the sheer height of that. Sutherland and Barnet. And I just think their communications have been brilliant and well thought out and sort of normal all the way through. They did the kind of, look, we are shut, this is what we don't know, stay safe, look after yourselves, etc. And then they transitioned through to kind of the helpful stuff about, look, we don't suggest you do colour your hair, but I know for a lot of you it's a big thing. These are products that we would recommend, and this is not to recommend, if you are going to do it, but if you really feel you have to, go down this route. And then it is, similarly, they did some kind of content about kind of their home haircut. And then, when things were, when news was triggered that mentioned haircutting, they were right there that day. So I don't know, Boris or whoever had kind of talked about it. And, legitimately kind of hair, hairstyle, fashion, cutting, it's a big thing for a lot of different people. So it is an important thing. It makes sense that they're keeping in touch. But as soon as it was mentioned, they would come out with an email, even if the email, I can't think of the top of my head, even if it sort of said nothing other than, look, we've heard this too, we don't know, we've got your back, as soon as we know. And then as it started happening, so look, this is what we think is going to happen. This is what we think we'd be able to do. So if you had an appointment and it was cancelled, then you're first. And just consistent communication all the way through, from a person to a person at the right times and doing the right kind of content. And I think, for a lot of businesses that have done nothing in this time, then perhaps too late is the wrong phrase. It is going to be hard to go again. It doesn't mean you can't start again and build it up again. But I think, those that have done nothing, I think we'll find it harder than say the guys at Sutherland and Barnet, where actually they've done it. It's an old thing, kind of helpful, useful, relevant, and consistent. That's what makes a big difference.
That was a good example, actually. I've not heard that, because it was about hairdressers, and I've not needed one for a bit. So I
always like to mention hair when we're sat here.
But it sounded, I'm going to use a word that makes me throw up a little in my mouth, very authentic.
Nice.
So, oh,
I don't mind authentic. I don't know if it's.
But it's maybe, but you know, it sounded really personal and empathetic and human, right? And I fear at times of change when people feel they should do a communications thing, right? They automatically default to the stuff. Do you know what I mean? The baggage. Yeah. Hey, we're open. Guess what? We're open. Hope you're well. Hope your family's well. You've never met my family. Like,
well, it's that difference. Sorry to interrupt. Most people in the stuff that goes out, it is about them, their world. We're open. This is us. Look at me. I've done this. I've got this going on. Whereas actually, what they've done is kind of said, "Well, look, it's about you." And all the commentaries. Look, you might have heard it. And that's the big difference. I mean, yeah, again, and it's so hard because you don't want to kind of pick on people, but some of the stuff I've seen come through, some of the people that are sending, you think there's no value in that other than you're bored.
Yeah, and you know, and some people are, you know, you've got to have more of a level of understanding about people who are doing bad marketing and bad communication at the moment, because they're, you know, for some people out there, there'll be an element of desperation, of needing to, of absolutely needing to. Do you know what I mean? Like, just do something. They don't know. They've not got the freedom and forethought of the space to think it through properly. Do you know what I mean? But it is like a theme of our last chat was, the power of relationships hasn't gone away, right? And don't let that, whatever this next bunch of activity in time has, blinker you to doing communications that build relationships. They have to be two-way, right? They have to be empathy. You have to show some level of empathy or understanding of the people who's going to receive it. Because even if you send out 300 emails or post to 10,000 Instagram followers, there's only one person reading it at one time through one screen, right? There's only one people. You're not doing it to a cinema advertising unless you're doing cinema advertising, but that's very unsafe.
And then it's one person looking through.
But it's their viewpoint, right? You're talking to one person, and that's always been my favorite communications tip. Is write like you're writing to one person, like in a thing, because you write differently. You use better language. It's more empathetic. It's more human. There's personality in it.
It's again. I say it every time. Maybe I have a big warning that goes off that I'm going to repeat myself for the billionth time. But it comes from that thought. If I'm going to put myself into your world and I want you to read what I've got to say, put some thought about it. Sutherland Barnett. Look, how to cut hair. Look, we would really recommend you don't try and dye your hair at home, but if you need to, that's so much better than, look, we've got this going on, and we've got this going on, or, it just, and it's hard, and God, whilst, business always has challenges. You're dead right. A lot of people are absolutely kind of rightly shit scared of what's going on, and it will be a massively unsettling time, but it's, as business owners, we've got to do this thinking. We've got to sit and think, because otherwise you just make the challenges worse, because the challenges aren't going to go away. There are those that will just shout out and say, look at me, look at what I've done. And those that actually try and do it. And, and you are dead right. And, in the fact that it has been brutally hard for people, but similarly, again, everyone will hate me anyway. Most people do. There are so many examples of people doing it well that are so easy to find that even the merest, let's just say people had 10 minutes before they decided to send their newsletter or whatever it was, just sit and think. Before they send that email, sit and think, what can I say, get out to the person that's reading this that makes their world better, more informed, more entertained, less scary, more likely, let's be honest, more likely to come back and buy when the time is right. That 10 minutes of thought, guided by looking at what's happening in the world and see who in their eyes is doing very well, see who is doing well, doing badly, what's being, and it's, kind of notwithstanding any kind of pandemic-y stuff, this doesn't happen enough, but it's all there. All the things that we need to know are out there, have been written somewhere. Again, I'm sure at some point you and I have talked swipe files. Talked swipe files. So for those that aren't sure, I've got two. I've got a big actual plastic box upstairs with any decent bit of marketing in that I've ever received, just to kind of get my brain going on those days where it's not. And I have a similar digital one. You guys should all have it too. You should all have a list of things, something to kind of get your brain ticking over, because it's all out there. So many people have spent millions and millions and millions of pounds creating great marketing. So you can basically go, well, I'll do that too. And it's maybe not exactly the same. And as ever, you look at the content and how do I use it? But there's real markers out there as to how to do this.
Yeah. And it's, to add on to that, like with any communications, right, we have 4 million options of how to do it, format to do it, message to do it, platform to do it, channel to do it, right? And there's at times like these, and generally, if I'm honest, take this lesson outside of these times, right? The message is the important thing. Put it in the channel that's easiest to reach the people you need to get it to. So get the right message to the right people, right? Do it at a time that you think will be most useful to them, not useful to you. So right message, right people, right time. There's an old history version of strategy sessions where we did the first year on that, I think, pretty much. So right
Kept
message,
it fresh.
Right message, right people, right time. But it's the message, right? The best communications I've seen in a long term, and it is those TV adverts where it's just, I don't even know what they're for, but I remember the message of the nice lady with a massive bow going, all right, me in 6 months' time. There's remember when I ask how you are, I really care about how you are, because we really matters about now. That I think it's Lloyd's Bank. Like, there's just a little video. It's a beautiful TV advert.
Are you just making stuff up now?
No, it's real. It's real. You won't get, because you've got 2 young boys, you'll only get Disney Channel adverts, even for adult programs and such.
Power Rangers. If it doesn't appear on Power Rangers, it barely happens.
No, well, there you go. But it's such a good communication, right? And they could have done, if they've got TV budget advert, you could have done some stuff. But it's really, really effective, honest storytelling and honest messaging. And another one has been the Knowlton brothers, Dan and Lloyd Knowlton, who are in the social media cool guy circles that Biz Paul inhabits.
Oh, we like Biz Paul.
Right. And they're good. They're good guys. They're nice guys. I like them a lot. But they've done a video series recently of parodying. A parody of, like, if real meetings were LinkedIn and different forms of communication where they've just took the mic out of it, and they've been brilliant, like, honest to God, brilliant, whether you like them or not. But they've just released a video yesterday, as we're recording this, explaining the strategy behind it and why the benefits and what incredible results it's had just by doing some really well thought out conversation, a message that resonates with people now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because people are going, like, if a Zoom call was a real life meeting and stuff, like, there'd be like just real good, real cleverly thought out content, real nice stuff. But that's the important thing. Like, the message is the important thing. Don't get bogged down in format or details or prettiness. Like, get a real a right message to the right people.
Stuff that you like. Find something that you like, or indeed that you don't like, and ask yourself, look, what were they trying to do there? What was the, and even if you second, and I think a lot of it is just is back yourself. And again, people, one of the reasons that people don't think is that they're too scared. They're too scared to do different stuff. And again, I think we spoke about this earlier, but 50-odd blog, Michael Owen, he's done a, what's the title, mate? The one where it's basically there are 20 different brands and every one of them released, more than that, released a coronavirus ad or an ad for them. And it was identical, just kind of terrifyingly, stupefyingly identical, and I can't even
There
I
was
don't remember.
vultures and this and invisible, I think it
Invisible.
was.
So yeah, you go and look at 50 odd, as in number 5 0 odd.co.uk maybe. You'll
Yeah.
find it. It's really good. And you know that it's one of those things that you don't notice it until you notice it, and then you see it and think, holy smoke. And it's not just that it's done. It's not just the amount of money that agencies and people must have charged for doing that. It's the fact that we just sort of don't notice it. It was so weird, so nuts that 50 massive brands have all done something exactly the same. And I think people do that because they are, one, it's easier. Dare I say it? I hate to say it, but we need this sort of thing. And, you know, I think people forgot away. Well, that's what the industry do. We need our version of that. Yeah. But I think they're doing it because they're too scared to do something else in case the tone is wrong or it's perceived to be wrong. Or
this is it. I'll read. I've got it on my phone, so I'll read he's done a fake email to an agency about it. So I'll read it. It says, "Hi, agency. Please can you charge us a shitload of money to communicate our brand in exactly the same way as everyone else is around us? For maximum pointlessness and invisibility, ? Yes, ? Great. Signature." Right? Brilliant. And it's just it's that thing I was trying to communicate, right? Just because everybody else is doing it and you feel there's a weight of expectation of going, "Hey, I'm back," email. Right, doesn't mean it's the right thing. You know, whoever you are, right, your customers better than anybody else on this planet, better than me and Chappers, right? You know them. They're your customers, right? Write a message to one of them and then send that message to each.
And, you know, and I think I'm really hoping, I'm sure I won't. I'm sure I'll get most emails that are subjected, look, we're back or similar. I'm really hoping I get a few that are, you know, subjected, well, that was weird, wasn't it? Or what the hell was that? Or, you know, something that just is sort of what you'd say. And again, you know, and it takes some guts to do this kind of stuff because, you know, towing the line and normality is easier, is less stressful. But I think, you know, you look at all the adverts that have stood out over the last X many years, and we've got, I don't know, Dollar Shave Club, we've got Poopery, we've got, you know, even the Meerkats thing, because, you know, kind of before everyone else kind of went down that route. They stood out because they were different. And that doesn't mean wacky. That doesn't mean crazy. It doesn't mean big budget. It doesn't mean stupid. It doesn't mean loads of swearing. It just means different than what everybody else is doing. And again, I would definitely say, go and have a look at this blog, because you will be kind of amazed / stunned when you actually watch it, even down to kind of the same tinkly tonkly piano music, you know, for these massive brands that have done identical stuff. Yeah, very interesting. But, and again, just on that, we mustn't then just dismiss that as, oh, this is big brand stuff. It's the same all the way down to kind of, you know, your hobbyist business person, whatever it is. It's, you know, we're all doing it in our own way. We're all doing that thing. It's, you know, it's a little bit like, you know, people just, you know, kind of, you know, putting the same tweet out again, you know, because, or the same style of it or whatever it is. It's happening all the way down.
It's happening all that. Like, it's like Michael Owen, who writes 50 odd blog, is an ex-brand, ex-ad guy, right? He writes well, right? He does brilliant. It beautifully. He's strong enough to have a good opinion about stuff, and that's important, right? Have a personality, have an opinion, don't be the same as everybody else. Is one of those things we talked about in the first video. That's always a good idea. It's still a good idea.
Yeah, and that's not. I mean, you know, it's not. I don't know. It's not like a controversial kind of way out opinion. It's this fact-based thing that makes you go, you know. But it is definitely worth a read. Definitely worth a read.
Yeah. So if you're planning on communicating about some kind of return or reinvention or reappearance after some time, just be honest about it. You know what I mean? Tell your version of it. If you give the same message as everybody else, then there's no reason for them to read yours.
And that's not just now. That's, again, as ever. That's ongoing. That is ongoing. I think
Yeah.
it will be compounded over the next few months because so many businesses will be doing the same thing. So many businesses will be fighting for kind of, the same pounds sort of thing. I think it's, I do think, we don't know. I think there are trickier times ahead. I think as the various support schemes come to an end, whilst there perhaps is a bit of money now, I think that money could get less and less as it happens. So it is going to become ever more important. But, as you and I say on here all the time, about, normal rules apply. Give it some thought. Make whatever you do as part of a plan, and the right stuff to the right person, kind of the right time and then the right way of doing it.
Yeah, the right message, right person, right time. You know what? It's never changed. No. Like I've been saying that for a year, and it's still right. It's more important now, technically.
And it never will. By the time I'm bald and you're hairy, it'll be the same thing. What a horrible thought. It's probably enough.
What a lovely place to end.
Let's leave it there.